Well, there's a growing debate today over a recent speech from the chief foreign affairs correspondent for CBS News. Lara Logan has reported from some of the most dangerous places in the world. She's a true war correspondent. Last week, she apparently stunned a Chicago crowd with her very stark assessment of America's place in the world and the real story, as she sees it, with the war in Afghanistan and the consulate attack in Libya. Ms. Logan saying in part, quote, "There is this narrative coming out of Washington for the last 2 years. They are just the poor, moderate, gentler, kinder Taliban. It's such nonsense." And on Libya, she said, quote, "Exact revenge and let the world know that the United States will not be attacked on its own soil, that its ambassadors will not be murdered, and that the United States will not stand by and do nothing about it." She actually came right out and used the term lies when speaking about the administration and its line on certain situations overseas. We're going to talk about it now with Leslie Marshall. She's a syndicated radio talk show host and a Fox News contributor. And Ben Ferguson is the host of the Ben Ferguson Show through the Icon Radio Network. So she came out and, let loose. She said, yeah. I chose this topic to talk about the Taliban and Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan, among others, because she said, "I can't stand that there is a major lie being propagated. The lie is that America's military might has tamed the Taliban." And that's where she went on to say, look, this is driven in part by Taliban apologists, and this is all nonsense. Your thoughts on it, Leslie?
Well, first of all, I understand that she, was attacked in Egypt, and I feel that she's speaking from a very, as a woman, Megan, dare I say, emotional place. And that's a very dangerous place, not to give her opinion. She's certainly entitled to that. But when we kind of look at a journalist, or heck, myself as a talk show host, for questioning what the Pentagon, what our military, what the FBI, the CIA, and our government, regardless of what the political platform of our president is, she's entitled to her opinion. But, I don't feel that we should just bomb every country when one American, even an ambassador, is killed. I feel that is an emotional reaction, and that's not something that we as a nation need to do, regardless of politics.
Ben, the way, it's unusual because you have a journalist who's expressing strong opinions about, what we need to do in places like Afghanistan and so on. But she is an expert. Is this so different? She's a war correspondent. So is it so different from political reporters going on Sunday shows and expressing their expertise on politics?
Yeah, it's two things here. One, I think it's sick that many liberals have been trying to say, well, she was attacked in Egypt, so therefore this is too emotional for her. This woman has gone around the world and is saying the exact same thing that several military individuals, current and past tense, in our U.S. military have been saying for months on end to silent and deaf ears in the media. What did we just hear earlier this month? This idea from Washington that we were supposed to have some sort of peace treaty with the Taliban, and now they've abandoned that. Now, that wasn't an idea that came from the commanders. That came from Washington and politicians. So she comes out there and says it is a big lie, that there is somehow two different fractions of the Taliban, that there's somehow the nice people over here and the not nice people over here is absurd. But the fact that they're discounting her based on the fact that she was attacked in Egypt with that spring there and saying, oh, well, she's too emotionally connected, I think is really sick, because she's seen it more than anybody else that's commenting on her comments ever, period.
It is dangerous ground to be plowed on there, Leslie, to try to dismiss her because she's a sexual assault victim and say she's too emotional to form, a reasonable opinion on these topics.
Oh, I'm not discounting what she said. I'm saying that I feel, having been the victim of sexual assault when I was 19, I was raped, and I can tell you that it definitely weighed in on how I felt, my anger and the need to blame, etc. What I'm simply saying is, Ben, I think it's insulting to the top brass of our military, to our soldiers,
some of the top brass agree with her.
Quite frankly, to basically say that anything that doesn't constitute, just directly, bombing the heck out of the Taliban, etc., constitutes a lie. She's entitled to her opinion, but she is not privy to every closed-door meeting.
I just want to tell the viewers, I'll give you the chance to respond,
military.
Ben, but I do want to tell the viewers that she gave the speech. She had just done a lengthy piece for 60 Minutes on the situation in Afghanistan, including interviewing some of our top generals over there. So she had just come off the heels of this. Ben, go ahead.
And she played some of that at this conference, but I think it goes back to this. The Taliban has been mocking America, and they mocked us when they went after and killed our ambassador. We had a White House that we know lied to us and said that this was because of a movie, when in fact it wasn't. The State Department says it wasn't. The Pentagon now says it wasn't because of a movie. This was a planned attack on 9/11, and we sit there and we're supposed to believe from the White House, because it's an election year, that there is somehow a good and bad Taliban. All of the Taliban leaders are saying there is one Taliban that is a bad Taliban, and she's saying she's tired of being lied to. And I don't blame her for telling the truth. And I think she's got generals that she shows in her own videos that are saying now that, yes, there is no such thing as the good guys and the bad guys. And even the White House is abandoning the idea of having a truce with the Taliban. They're not nice people. They want to kill Americans. And she's saying that's what she saw and what they say. So why not believe them at their own words?
Leslie, last word.
A bottom line, Ben, we've been in Afghanistan. It will be the longest war we've been involved in. Our military, the greatest in the world, has been there fighting the Taliban. What do? Do we just wipe out the entire country and innocent men, women, and children in order to rid ourselves of the Taliban?
Of course
she's
not.
entitled to her opinion, but she's entitled to her opinion. But I think that we have been fighting an excellent war on terror, and I don't feel that we need to be or should be in Afghanistan or any other country 100 years to do that.
All right, good debate. Thank you both.
Thanks, Megan.
Coming.